Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Once more, we have the privilege to host this, your virtual Small Business Expo, hosted by Kent District Library. We are honored to start this journey or continue this journey with you. This is a space where we want to connect with you, to have a dialogue with agencies, businesses, entrepreneurs, to promote their work, to understand their challenges, aligned our resources with what they need and want, because we want to see you grow. Because when you grow, our communities thrive. During these weeks, we have the pleasure and honor to host this virtual Small Business Expo. We have had many amazing presenters and experts. We have had Wayne Titus, who spoke about the payment, the PPP. We have also a local first executive director, Hannah Schultz. We had Fran Dalton from the Garfield Park Neighborhood Association. We have we have the Small Business Development Center represented by George. And we also have, last week, Jorge Gonzalez from Star Garden. And today we are honored and super excited to introduce to you Jamiel Robinson. He is the founder and executive director or CEO from GRAB, that stands for Grand Rapids Area Black Businesses. Welcome, Jamiel.
Thanks for having me.
We are excited you're here. I was excited when we heard that you could be with us today, and I know that you bring so much. You are well known in our community. Everybody loves you. We love you too. So we are excited to have this conversation with you. And let me start by I know that you have an extensive curriculum offline. Just now I was talking to you, and I looking at your bios, it says Jamiel Robinson is a serial entrepreneur. What is a serial entrepreneur?
It means that I find myself in a lot of different situations where I have multiple businesses, and so I just can't seem to stop at one or two or three. So I have several businesses within this community here in the city of Grand Rapids.
Yep. So you're the co-owner of Moto Bijet Spirits. Also, you are part of the team bringing Ambiance GR Kitchen and launch to the Grand Rapids area, downtown area. But you also help other businesses, and your extensive network has been essential, providing information and resources to area businesses, especially people of color. And yeah, I know that you were also named as one of the young leaders, more extraordinary leaders over the past 30 years. So I think that that proves it. And I'm just curious, Jamiel, during this time, I'm sure that you have faced questions and situations unprecedented that you have never seen before. I feel that you take the temperature of the community. What are you looking? What are you seeing? What do you hear from businesses?
Yeah, right now we're dealing, with the pandemic and the continuation of, racial injustice within our communities. And so, like right now in 2020, I think a lot of these things have collided with one another. So not only is COVID-19 ravaging the Black community with, more deaths. So I think the governor announced yesterday that she was declaring, a public health crisis against racism, which has and continues to disproportionately affect the Black community. From that standpoint, we also have COVID, which has forced a lot of businesses to shut down, and there's been article after article, study after study, saying that because of COVID-19, potentially 40% of Black businesses will shut down permanently. And so, we've been working since the beginning of this pandemic and beginning of the shutdown as to how can we help Black businesses here in the city of Grand Rapids, but not only Grand Rapids. I've been connecting with other entrepreneur support organizations and economic development organizations across West Michigan, and figuring out ways in which we can, share information, share resources, but then also advocate to ensure that Black businesses, aren't left out. And so when we look at some of the resources that have already been allocated, as far as relief efforts, whether it's the PPP loan, whether it's the EIDL loan, whether it's been local grants, at the state level or at the local level, disproportionately Black businesses have not received any relief at all. And so a lot of people are talking about um, recovery when Black businesses haven't received any relief at this time.
Jamiel, so I know that sometimes the studies and the numbers are in a national, they are from a national standpoint, but in the local level, what are you hearing? Do you hear from the businesses in your network that they weren't able to apply, and why? How are they doing?
They're not doing well. So businesses reach out to me, all the time, and they're looking for help, they're looking for relief, they're looking for resources, but they're also telling me and saying, "Hey, I applied for this, I haven't heard from my banker. I applied for this, I haven't heard from the organization." And so we've been able to build a vast network and relationships here in the city with different institutions, whether it's local government, whether it's the financial sector, and so we've been able to push some of those applicants through to help them receive some relief. But by far, the vast majority still have not been able to receive any relief. And so yesterday, August 5th, was the deadline for the second round of the Michigan Restart Grant that was administered through the MEDC. And so up until around like 11:30 last night, I had businesses either emailing me, messaging me, and just wanting to make sure that they have all the information, they know how to upload it, just because disproportionately they've been left out of all relief and recovery. And some of them saying that I might not be able to make it another month, and they are looking at how they may have to not only just pivot, but how they may just have to try and minimize the fallout from them potentially having to close their business.
I know that you get questions of people that are not part of your network, but I wonder, I'm just curious, how many people is part of Grab? How many businesses do you have in the network?
Yeah, so we work as far as like our membership. So we have a membership of about 150 businesses, but we don't necessarily, as the way our organization is set up, we're not necessarily membership driven or membership heavy. We're more of how do we help to establish a thriving Black business ecosystem. And so, given all the resources from the different ESOs, and we throw around a lot of acronyms. So ESO just pretty much stands for Entrepreneurial Support Organization. So it's the organization that entrepreneurs and business owners go to for assistance, to find resources, or to access resources. And so we've been doing a lot of different things trying to ensure that regardless if you remember Grab or not, you have all the information, all the resources from that standpoint, so they can be as successful. And so what we do at Grab, we want to make sure that businesses, Black businesses, survive, sustain, and grow. Because from our vantage point, retention is growth. So how do we grow a thriving Black business community? We have to slow down the number of businesses shutting down. And COVID has really presented a challenge with us trying to ensure that a lot of our businesses are able to, not only escape COVID, but how do they build their businesses to thrive after COVID?
Yeah. So you said about 150, and but it is not only those 150 that are reaching out to you, but beyond that, the ones that are not members, but they still come to you with all these questions during this crisis. But that's incredible. I know that you have, and you probably want to talk about these later, but I think this is a good moment to talk about what is Grab, how it started, how many years it has been in existence, and also how entrepreneurs or businesses can become part of that network or support each other through your coordination and help.
Yeah, so we've been around for rampant area Black businesses. I just call it Grab for short, and a lot of people just call it Grab for short. We've been around for approximately 8 years now. So we started in 2012 as just a directory and resource guide for Black businesses. Because early on, a lot of the challenge that we initially were facing was visibility and awareness, even within our community, of what businesses existed. And then from there, we've grown to focus more on economic development and business development. With economic development is policy, so whether it's policies, within different municipalities, as far as local government up to state, but also institutions, whether it's the financial institutions, whether it's some of our public institutions, whether it's the libraries, whether it's the museums, the zoo, other places like that, to look at their policies and how are their policies excluding Black entrepreneurs from being able to access contracting, vendor, and procurement opportunities. And so we've been working with institutions and businesses since then. We officially launched in 2013, but we formed in 2012. And so we're heading into that next phase of growth where we purchased some property on the southeast side of Grand Rapids that we're calling the district, which will be, at the epicenter for Black entrepreneurship and cultural discovery on the southeast side of Grand Rapids, where a lot of resources aren't found for entrepreneurs, let alone Black entrepreneurs.
And congratulations for that, by the way. That's amazing. I have seen the plans and it's super exciting. Are you there right now or no?
Nope. I'm at Start Garden right now.
Okay.
Somebody left the key under the mat, so I snuck in.
Oh, good.
Just joking. No, so we're looking to start construction. COVID has even pushed us back on what we're looking to do. So we're looking to be able to move into the district early 2021 from that standpoint. But businesses can reach out to us. I know scrolling at the bottom has been ways for you to for people to be able to get in contact with us. But as of right now, we're also in the process of redoing our website, which will launch in October from that standpoint. So right now we've suspended memberships, so we're not really accepting any, just because we want to have everyone transition over to our new platform when we have that built from that standpoint, which will have more robust resources and different benefits from that standpoint. But everything is and will be driven through our website as far as how businesses can join Grab as a member.
So the natural question I have is, how is Grab different from the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, I don't necessarily compare myself to any other organization, just because each organization serves their members and their businesses' role or mission within the community. The reason why I started Grab was because I was born and raised here in the city of Grand Rapids. I come from a family of property owners and business owners. And at one point in time, Wealthy Street was a predominantly Black-owned business corridor. And now we look at it today in 2020, it's less than 5 Black businesses on that whole stretch of Wealthy, from, if we want to say, Union all the way down to Lake Drive or Wealthy, from that standpoint. And so what we're looking to do is, how do we build a thriving Black business district? And so that's what we're looking to do over at the district. So we don't compare ourselves to what others aren't or what others are. We look at focusing in on the things that, and the challenges and the issues that's faced within the Black business community, and we look for ways in which we can address those, as an organization and as an entity. Because we want to see our businesses go on a growth trajectory, and so we're looking at how do we help businesses scale to a sizable company, and so they can begin to employ people from the community, from the neighborhood. These business owners, are also then, because of growth, are able to become philanthropic and invest into the neighborhoods and the communities in which they came from.
Path to success, right?
Yes.
We have a question. It says, "It's Derek Padula. Hello, Jamiel. Do you have any? You have recommendations for how white businesses owners can help Black business owners?"
Yeah, you can definitely help Black business owners from looking internal to what kind of business you have, and looking for business to business opportunities. So, like, where are you sourcing your material? If you have space. So I'm not sure what type of business you have, Derek. But let's say if you have a retail location and you have different products, how many of those products in there come from either black producers or black companies. From that standpoint, that's one of the ways in which white business owners can definitely help black business owners. Also, establishing a network. Sometimes networks are more valuable than cash in hand, just because it gives you access to some of those other spaces and places to where black businesses may not have access to, just because of the continued like hyper segregation and economic exclusion that's faced not only here in the city of Grand Rapids and West Michigan, but across the country from that standpoint. So those are a couple of ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jared Olson says, "What will make your location different than Star Garden?" Which is similar to the question you just answered regarding Chamber of Commerce.
For our physical locations, I'll talk about our physical location. Our physical location, we're going to have a retail component, a part of that, as well as we're not going to have a co-working space. So if you look at the type of businesses that currently exist within the Black business community, a lot of them aren't necessarily solely employed. They may be doing this as a side hustle or as ancillary revenue, and so sometimes they're meeting at coffee shops or different places to meet with potential clients, or where they're meeting up with people to exchange products for cash if people have purchased some of their products. And so what we're looking to create and what we're calling it is a work lounge. So it's a step up from a coffee shop, but it has all of the different resources and all of some of the different physical uh, physical equipment, whether it's like copiers or scanners or some of those other things that are needed for businesses to be able to grow, because they may not have a scanner in their home. They may not have a copier and things like that. And so we want to provide a physical space. But also, what makes us different is because we're grounded in the neighborhood, we're able to eliminate some of that transportation barrier and cut down on some of the frustration that entrepreneurs feel who aren't necessarily connected and don't know how to get connected to the ecosystem from that standpoint. So are whether they're whether they are have transportation issues or barriers to where they can't make it downtown, or even if they are able to make it downtown, where the vast majority of entrepreneurial support services are, they may go to one organization, and that organization, oh no, not us yet. And so entrepreneurs can become frustrated by not knowing how to navigate the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so by us having that grounded in a neighborhood, in a community that doesn't necessarily have those resources, we cut down on some of that frustration and help them get the access and the resources that are needed. So hopefully that answers your question, Jared.
And I think it speaks a lot about what other experts have said. I remember Hannah Schultz from Local First was mentioning the same thing. You got to have resources on the ground, boots on the ground in the neighborhoods, responding to those specific questions that people are having in those neighborhoods. And you are doing that. Now, speaking about ecosystem, can you speak a little bit about how how your network is built? Who do you have? Do you have is it food industry? What kind of businesses are part of Grab?
Yeah, we have a wide range of businesses. So it's whether they're food entrepreneurs, whether they're product based, whether they're service based, and so we don't necessarily hone in, and so we're more industry agnostic in that sense. So whatever kind of businesses they're looking to build, we're able to assist them in building those. Just because we built a wide base of support and resources. So we do work all across the state and have access to resources from the federal level all the way down to the local philanthropic levels.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about the economic impact of this pandemic and the virus, but can you speak a little bit more about how they are doing in terms of health? How is the Black community in the Grand Rapids area and Kent County area doing?
So in Kent County, the two zip codes with the most cases of COVID is 49507 and 49503. And those two zip codes house the majority of African Americans and the Latinx community. And so disproportionately, we have higher numbers of COVID cases from that standpoint, which you already add that on top of the previous health conditions and everything else that are occurring. And so right now, you have some businesses that have continued to remain closed, just because COVID has really ran through and impacted the community in a negative way. But also, yeah, at the same time of them trying to ensure that their livelihood and the way in which they make money, they're still able to generate those type of things. For that type of resources, that whether it's ancillary or whether it's their main source of income. And so you see, businesses being on different spectrums, just as, however they feel comfortable, however they feel safe, but also the executive orders impact them one way or another. And so early on, a lot of businesses had difficulty accessing the PPE from that standpoint. And so we know being able to source PPE for protection, especially given how the pandemic has adversely affect the Black community and the Latinx community. And so how do we help them navigate and find those PPE resources? And so Kent County has a PPE program where businesses can apply for PPE, and if they are granted that, they can either meet up or have it dropped off to their place of business from that standpoint. And so it's we've been helping them navigate all the resources because it's a ton of grants, it's a ton of resources that come up, and so even businesses are even getting confused and frustrated with because they are mixing up grants. And so what we've been telling Black entrepreneurs is create an Excel sheet of all the different resources that you've applied for, and if you were granted those resources, put that in. If you were denied, why were you denied? Even from that standpoint, so then us as Grab can go and have some of these conversations, whether it's at the county level, whether it's at the financial institution level, and say, hey, disproportionately these businesses have been uh, denied support and resources. And so why? Because we know without intentionality up front, it's very hard. And so even with the PPP, so the Paycheck Protection Program, they've made like several changes to that because it was so rushed out there, and it disproportionately. I think say 90% of Black businesses across the country did not receive PPP.
Those numbers are staggering. It's incredible. I know that you work really closely with. You are right now in Star Garden. We had Jorge Gonzalez from Star Garden last week, and but I know that you also are informed, and you work very closely with SBDC to help the entrepreneurs access those. I know that in the past programs we have spoken about the resources there are to help these entrepreneurs navigate all the financial opportunities that there are right there for them in this moment. And yes, it's confusing. Can you tell me where are you mostly directing? I know that every case is different, but where do you usually direct them for this kind of support?
It just really depends. So if we're talking about technical assistance, I usually refer them to the SBDC because SBDC is funded federally through tax dollars anyway. And the SBDC, I think, is one of the most underutilized resources because regardless of what business or industry you're trying to start, even if you're trying to start it here in Grand Rapids, because the SBDC is a part of a national organization, they can pull models, whether it's business models or financial models from other states, and help you be able to craft, whether it's financial forecasting or come up with a good business plan. Which I tell entrepreneurs all the time, you really don't need a formal business plan unless you're getting ready to ask somebody for money. But you do need some kind of a plan. So you can either do a business model canvas. You just really need to understand what you're trying to accomplish as an entrepreneur. If it's financial resources, it just really depends. And so I usually refer people to local or community banks just because a lot of that decision making is done locally. And so whether local is 5 miles up the road or 10 miles up the road is different than some of the larger banks, which have regional processing centers, could be like 2 or 3 states over. And so you can really leverage your personal relationships and networks working with smaller financial institutions from that standpoint, especially when we're looking at the relief that was given. The SBA is backing the PPP and the idle 100%, and so it's really minimum risk to financial institutions. But you need that relationship that's closer here on the ground to be able to help them actualize on some of the resources that they're seeking. And then from that standpoint, it just really depends on what kind of businesses, because there's different grants out here for food-based businesses to creatives, and so we're just trying to make sure that we keep ourselves informed on what's the latest and greatest.
Well, yeah, and as you said, everything is it depends of where they are at the moment and what kind of business it is. So you need that personal connection and have that conversation, and that's why during this space we wanted to provide an opportunity for our viewers to have a personal connection with you, to get to know you, but also for you to get to know their names and their businesses, and maybe make that connection actual personal connection with you, so that they can access the resources that you're offering. And we have the opportunity to do a network right after. In a few minutes, we will send, and it will be in the notes, we will send a Zoom meeting link and a meeting number with a passcode. Members or viewers can join us. They can join the conversation not only by adding your questions to this live event, which you can always do and ask questions to Jamiel, but you can also get to know him. We will be introducing the Zoom meeting, and everybody is welcome. We would like to get to know you and hear from you in your business. At this point, Jamiel, I want to finish. I want to have this. This is important. And I know you said that you are not accepting new memberships at the moment until the platform is done in the month of October. Yes. But I think it's important for our viewers to know, how do you become part of your network? How do you join Grab?
Yeah, so it's just really through our website, and so it's a tab at the top that says either it says membership, or it says join Grab, and so it's just really a simple process from that standpoint. By going to our website, clicking on that actual page, and filling out information from that standpoint.
Well, and it's right there. That's our website. Right. So go ahead.
Local.com.
Right. Explore the website, and please get to know a little bit more and see how we can support each other. This has been a super interesting conversation, Jamiel. I wish we had more time to pick your brain. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we go to our small commercial for the library?
Oh, yes. I just real quick, I see Marissa's question. And, we have a lot of relationships. So we work with Local First. We've done work with Start Garden and those. So we have a lot of relationships, that are non-Black or non-minority from that standpoint. But when you also have a city and are in a city like Grand Rapids that in 2015 was ranked the second worst city in America for African Americans economically, we have to also look within and build up a community, because when there's opportunities, we have to be able to have the certain amount of capacity, but none of this can be done in isolation. And so that's why we've been able to help businesses by having partnerships, with local retailers, whether it's getting businesses placed in the Bridge Street Market, or helping businesses, through MSU's product development center. So we have a lot of relationships that are outside of the Black community from that standpoint. But I also believe that we have to build the capacity of Black businesses and also build resources within the community so we can begin to also empower our community, because a lot of charity is provided, but it's very little empowerment. And so how do we become better as a community and society is if we empower those who've had the least amount of power and has been disenfranchised and marginalized.
And I think that's a great point. We have said often, and last week we were saying workforce development. This is economic development. It is not workforce development. Right. So we're not talking about job creation or employment for people of color. We're talking specifically about financial stabilization and financial advancement. So business creation that creates more jobs for people in our community. So that's what we're talking about. And I think that's a clarification about the what you mentioned before, that Grand Rapids was named one of the worst cities for African Americans. So, well, Jamiel, it has been a pleasure to have you now. I would like to move on to the Zoom meeting. Our viewers, if you are looking at this and you are interested in meeting Jamiel personally, you want to have a conversation with him, and you want him to know your name and what you're doing with your business, please join us. This is the link. Please copy the link and go to Zoom. We will be waiting for you. But at this point, I want to also share a resource that we have. You know that we have a lot of resources in the library, Jamiel. You use them. And I want to share one with you. And this is brought to you by Sarah, our business librarian, adult librarian. So let's go to her.
Hi everyone, it's Sarah, librarian and outreach specialist, here with your KDL Connection. Kent District Library has all the resources for your workforce development needs, from Career Online High School to prepare you for the career that you want, to our databases and collections that will help you grow your small business. Let's see how we can connect with today's topic. Let's begin at our website, kdl.org. From there, we'll go to Learn and Research, our online research and database collections. Today, we want to explore business books, so let's select just our business resources, and we will scroll down to the ebook business collection. That collection encompasses a variety of topics about marketing, finance, supply chain management, etc. Today, we're going to look at just our marketing strategy materials. Using the search term marketing strategy, we'll pull up all of the results. We find that there are almost 500, and we want to limit that to just the most recent publications. So over on the left, there is a filter to use to pull just the 2019 publications. That brings it down to a more manageable set of results. We're going to look at 9 different titles. So there's books that have full text. They're broken down by chapter, but you'll also see that there are video results to help you grow your knowledge of marketing strategy. When you find a title that you're interested in, you simply click on that title. We're going to explore, how about we take a look at that entrepreneurship, how to start and grow your own business. Once we find the title that we're interested in, you can see that there are multiple ways to explore the book. You can add it to a folder online. You can save certain pages or email them to yourself or others. You can download pages or download the full text of the item if you wish and save it as a PDF to your device. So just another great resource available to you from Kent District Library. I hope that you enjoy exploring the different titles available to you and taking advantage of all the ways that you can share the knowledge you have learned. Thanks for being here with us today, and I hope that you'll join us next week for another Small Business Expo where we'll share more KDL connections.
Thank you, Sarah. That was wonderful. I love that the library can offer so many resources, and some of those resources are also audiobooks. So when you're driving or you're going to a place, you can also listen to the book. And by the time you make it there after 20, 30 minutes, you have finished a chapter. So consider that. There's always ways to gain more knowledge. At this point, we want to invite you to our Zoom meeting with Jamiel. He's there now. He's waiting for you. So thank you so much. And just remember, next week we will be here again once more. And next week we will have the Dana Early from the Fulton Street Farmers Market. So don't miss it. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.